you'll find that suit is a perfect duplicate of your original. Automatic temperature control, increased cybernetic strength, even the cold gun works. Yes, logically.
Nah, though. I got a theory, right? It's really not a theory. It's really just science. Feel me? 'Cause, I'm another scientist out here putting shit together. So look, the thing that comes with these clouds, right? It makes the emissions, carbon emissions zero, right? It's supposed to be sub-zero technology. That's really what it is. So in this video right here, I got Mr. Freeze. You feel me? I got Mr. Freeze in the video for because he's in my eyes a Zeta Gray. Feel me? And really, I ain't really know too much Zeta Grays. That's why I shout out to certain people like Rashad Jamal, free my man Rashad. Feel me? So I'm gonna add his little part to this shit too. But like, look. But the thing about the Zeta Grays, they came with the the thing about the Grays, they came with the Sub-Zero technology, the elves, or whatever the fuck it is, pretty much. I'm not gonna really speak on them too much, cause yeah. But anyways, but this is my theory. Feel me? Mr. Freeze deal, right? He's like a Zeta Grey, which made a deal with like a rich dude running shit, like Bill Gates or some shit. You feel me? I was just using Bill Gates for example. You feel me? So I was, you feel me? It could be any rich dude, but Bill Gates is rich and really he's not. But in reality, he's not. But yeah, he does whatever the fuck he wanted to do, right? And when it's coming to people investing into world power and world order and full domination, it kind of does go back to Bill Gates. You feel me? That's why I don't fuck with this nigga really. I used to when I was a kid, just because everybody else was. But now that I'm old enough to actually think about what the fuck this nigga be doing, like you're investing. Well, these are dickheads. This is why I'm going back. When you put these clouds up, it deals with plasma. The heat makes sub-zero technology, right? Because it makes the carbon emissions to zero. Right now, the planet is rising, so when they put the V2 to things, the V2 means a lot of things, but the V2 really meant for the atoms getting a charge of 2 valence electrons, the black dots. Like if you could see the atoms in the air, because really the blood of the air is the air. And when you're interrupting the blood of the air, you're also interrupting the blood of the body. Feel me? So the thing is, that's like, you can like tails in the air when you look at the traffic lights and stuff like that. Because once they put the chemtrails, they've been doing this shit like 24/7 a day. Because I can see the clouds open up and then you can still see them behind it. Then sometimes they be doing this shit at night. It's just when there's a lot of X flares already coming at certain points, they don't like to be in the air. So they might make the West Coast cold. Wink, wink. Make the West Coast cold like they're doing, like what's going on February 2023. Feel me? But the thing is, 2023 is actually on the scale hertz for the sixth dimension on a physical level. I'm gonna try to add a video to this too, cause I just want to make a long ass video of clips and shit. Feel me? So I'm gonna add myself to it. But look, this shit like I say the 6D energy with hertz, it deals with a 360. That's why it's really not 33 levels, it's 36 that deals with 360. So it's like, because there's 2 parallels, 3 alternates, and 4 states, big 9. So even when it reached the 9D, which is like the 3000 hertz scale, that also has 2 parallels for 3 alternates and 4 states. So that means it will go higher for me. But that's when you're breaking into the higher you for me. You know how the chakras are 7. Once you get past that, you're going higher, which is more than what they usually teach you. That's when you're actually in the cosmos. And if you actually even make it that far, that's when it becomes learning. Like, you get a free, you have an intuition, which is your tuition. Like, if you can know everything, or at least close to it, because you're seeing that Akashic Records is inside your DNA. So when you tap into your DNA, things start revealing itself. That's what I'm saying. 2023 is really not a year, because we live in the present dealing with loops, right? If you were to even add a past and a future, that's dealing with the 3 of you, the 3 alternates of you, right? So that's why you break curses from the past in the present. So like us speaking out on shit like this is actually a wearing ourselves in another loop in the past, right? Like, you just gotta think about it. You only have deja vu from what? Memories. You only have dreams. You only have experiences. You have memories. So you just having a dream or deja vu, that means that was part of your memory. And so like dealing with these hurts, those are actually the years that was happening for me. So say like the 4D, it was like, you know, or like your whole chakra scale, because that's how it started off with the sun. It started off with your whole chakra scale. And as it started rising, it started going higher. And the 4D ended up, well, 5D ended up hitting 2021. Around, really before that, it was 4D it was hitting. But then it was 5D that really opened up from like April, or really, yeah, from like April till got down to like September or some shit. Or like August. Really turned up even more in August. And then it happened again the next following year. But then it started to switch up because it had a lunar interruptance. That's when you start seeing lunar eclipse, uh, lunar Mars occultance or shit like that. I ain't never heard that before, but when they said that it was a big globe or whatever they shot down was just sitting in the sky, and I could see it with my 2 eyes. I didn't even have to use the camera. So if you go on my videos, you'll see a lunar eclipse, and it's going to be red. If you actually watch it, it might show out pretty much clear. So I just woke up, I forgot about it. Woke up around like 5, and I was seeing how it was getting covered. So I was trying to record it, and then when I started seeing it after it got covered, I was like, yo, it's just like some red balloon just sitting there. It didn't even look real. Like it looked like a 2D globe or some shit. Like some computer shit. Like that's what made me actually think, made me realize even more, like a confirmation that this shit really is about to break down. And you're going to be able to see a lot of things with your 2 eyes when it breaks down, due to the great solar flash, which is actually coming pretty soon. Because, I mean, if it's waiting on 90, the 9D frequency, then it'll be later than what I'm saying. But if it's going off the 60, which I feel like it is, because when 5D hit, I went up, then I passed this little test. Thought I didn't, because I couldn't remember. But I started realizing I did, because of the downloads I was getting. It made me like interested in what I was seeing, because it was all making sense. So it was like kind of like separated from a lot of things, and it got me doing shit like this right now. But thing I realized, I was learning about Enoch and his ascension, and the certain words they were saying. I'm gonna make a video on that shit. But yeah, the words they were saying, right? It kind of matched up to like, I think they were saying heavens, right? But then it matches up with people say dimensions. All these words just deals with energy. You feel me? Like periods, times, centuries, anything that's dealing with time, dealing with energy. But the thing is, when they said he met the Gregorians and the whole thing, the Gregorian, we're living off a Gregorian calendar because of these elites who are like putting everything in reverse. Reptilians and all types of shit. But the thing about them, the further they can only go to 5D, they can't go no higher than that, right? I don't even know if a lot of people know that. We've been in 5D, nigga. Like, if you want to talk consciously, that been already happened. Like, I know I'm talking, I was supposed to binge show this video, but like, we're gonna talk real quick. Like, consciously, because you know A plus B equals C. Alpha, beta, left, right. So, A plus B equals C, right? But C is gamma. C stands for gamma in the Hebrew and Greek chart. Well, gamma is going to be in the Greek chart, right? But the alpha beta system deal with 369 energies. So that's when the alpha beta system actually tied in to words and making your vibration, because the pronunciation was actually the vibration you were creating with your magnetism and your electricity within. So above, so below. That's why they pretty much name them after the alphabet, stars, and then in Hebrew it got another name that goes biblically and everything else, and kind of tied to like the Phoenician text, but they already copied it from we know who. So it's like, and then you can't forget about Latin, because then that also shows you uh the 2, the 3, and the 4 with the pronunciations of that when you have to write it and shit like that. It's a feminine and a masculine version of that. So when you're understanding English, you have to take it back to that to even understand what you're reading. Just take what they taught you, like for example, they told you if you never knew the definition, read the words by syllables, and you can figure out what the word means, right? So when you know the enemy is using these words that you don't have no clue what the fuck it is, you break it down to origin, and then the message will reveal itself, because that's how they communicate, period. So when it comes to time, the measurement of time, right? I remember in in middle school, that like science class, my teacher told me about this triangle, right? So if you wanted to find the time, you put the T at the top, then you have distance and speed, right? So the thing about me, I kind of like tapped in. First, it went to like Native American shit, and it was like I was just doing some weird shit. Then that was way before I was looking into stuff, but it got me looking into stuff. But the way I saw it, like I had a whole vision of how it was, and then like I was tapping into dogs and shit. Yeah, like put my hands on the ground and communicate with like nature and the dogs and shit, or like animals. So it's like as the hurts was hitting, I was remembering through my dreams, but it was manifesting into my reality. It was kind of like expressing my intuition, because that's what they're scared of. Once you start remembering in your dreams, your brain start clicking in this physical, like you already did it because you already did. It's just like, say how you learn how to walk. Someone taught you how to walk, you got the rhythm, right? So since you got the rhythm, right? God damn, I just lost what I was about to say. You got the rhythm and shit. But the thing is, if you forgot how to do it, you most likely wouldn't do it. Like, let's say like when you get here, your memory is erased, right? So now you have to learn how to walk, right? And as you start to remember, it becomes a natural thing. Now you're subconsciously walking most of the time, unless you just think about walking, right? Because you're not really thinking about it, right? So it's like, that's when A and B comes together. Spirit and soul comes together because they're twins. So it's like a red sun and a blue sun. When the blue Kachine and the red sun come together, it makes a stronger light. It makes a gamma light, right? That's the same thing to your light body. So like A plus B equals C, just is it's like an equation to trinities. You feel me? It's a metaphysical thing. So like they don't teach you this. That's just like horoscopes and shit. Gemini, like say I'm a Gemini, but it's 2 parallels, 3 alternates, and 4 states of that. Feel me? So I'm not just a Gemini. That means I get aligned to all 12 houses, being a sun, right? Because the whole part of meeting and getting along is being aligned to each other, because that's how we connect. That's how the stars connect. When there's interruptions, it's not connecting. Feel me? It's just like twins. Twins, you think usually twins will like always do shit together and then they split apart. Feel me? But like, thing is, when twins work together, like I have, like my best friends, they were twins. When they were younger, they used to skateboard together. They used to get a lot of recognition. They were good at basketball together. Feel me? When they were together, they used to make great shit happen when they would work together. But they used to also argue a lot and then didn't want to be around each other no more. The whole time, you would think them two would, because they were born at the same time, right? Just because how TV painted the picture. But in reality, that's reality when it comes to working together. It's like, say one side of your brain, the A is one twin, and then the other is the other. Feel me? Either the brother or the sister or whatever. Feel me? They're twins. Like for men, it's most likely going to be a brother and a sister, or like father and mother type shit. And then women got the X and X, just straight feminine energy. Feel me? So like the A and the B, you get, it starts to work together. But how do you get both sides to even work the way it's supposed to? Physical and mental. So the A and the B can also mean physical and mental. Because the P stands for role in reality. And mental, the M stands for your magnetic field. Your magnitude, your magnetic field. Because as a light body being, you withhold that like a star would, or the planet. Because pretty much that is a star. Like, if we was on Jupiter looking at Earth, it would look like a star. Okay? It would have to. So it was definitely about to, once all this lunar interruptions get out the way. Because back to the sub-zero technology shit, because I went totally left. Back to the sub-zero technology. The thing is, when you put the clouds up, the light from the sun kind of reflects off, right? Some of it will actually come through if it's connecting to something below. Like say if it was organs or shit set up everywhere, which it still is, underwater and everything, that's what's going to make it very hard for them to even stop this, which is they're not going to be able to once 6D hits. For real, for real. You already see sinkholes and all this shit opening up. I said this before already. I'm realizing a lot of my shit got deleted. I be screenshotting it and trying to post it. But I really thought a lot of good ones was up, and it's not. So, yeah. Thing about the clouds, it absorbs the plasma And the higher it gets, the higher the more weather it can make, right? So say X flares and M flares. Really, the M flares and the X flares mix. Those generate ice storms and uh like Arctic blasts of cold. Feel me? Like how it was in India and Tokyo and Japan and everything. Everything was freezing up. The animals was freezing up instantly. Like they got hit by a freeze gun. Like Mr. Freeze or something just hit them. It was, everything was frozen. Cars couldn't move. You feel me? Like niggas living like Eskimos if they could even move. Like niggas was dying. I know a lot of people died because the way they were already living wasn't even built for it. They just didn't even post it. Like it's a lot of people dying over these because that's where a lot of the bullshit happened. The thing is, it's gonna happen here too. But a lot of the true Atlanteans is on in the U.S. Feel me? North and South, and Africa woke too, and it makes a whole triangle. Feel me? They made a whole that nigga George Prince George, that devil, that nigga made a whole triangle around that triangle to even manipulate one of those main organs, because it's a lot of them. Like the Bermuda's just not the only one. Like you're gonna start seeing cyclones in the water and everything if you ain't been seeing it already. Like because the thing is, the energy that even made something seem like it was a sun, a moon, got manipulated, which dimmed it when the land sunk. And then on these certain land masses, they're on it manipulating it. Feel me? And if they're not on it, they're putting chemtrails around it. Feel me? So as that's rising, that's really gonna cause earthquakes other than the CMEs. But really the thing is built for a certain climate, right? And the only thing that can touch it is light and heat. And that light and heat travels through a CME. It's a reactant to any cell. So even when it comes to fossils, they have cells inside of them. So really, those fossils and shit that look like rocks and shit, those are kind of like eggs. You feel me? Well, they really are eggs. Certain ones. That's why they're making the movies about how these giants are in the mountains and stuff. They're going to be able to wake back up due to the UV light. That's where Bill Gates comes back in play, because he doesn't want the planet going. These elites and shit, don't want the planet going back to where it was. And who's going to connect to these certain things? The melanated people, if they're not in fear. If they're in fear, it might interrupt unless they see something in you, because you still will glow a frequency depending on what's within you. So that's when it gets deep. That's another thing I say with time. Fifth and the sixth period of time, they had different periods with different species and animals and shit like that. So when you're dealing with a loop, you're dealing with energy cycles that comes back around and around and around. That's why they play with these cycles, because they have to do it along the energy to even be able to manipulate the energy. They have to play along with it. That's why certain holidays and shit like that, they Super Bowls and events, they're harnessing energy. You feel me? Once people participate, the more it's conjuring more and more people up. Feel me? So like it's crazy. And so the whole time while they keep people distracted, this shit be going on. Like that's how I know. Really the CMEs ain't really been hitting the US, and every time it does, it's because of an M and an X. Because at the certain points that it's hitting, it doesn't really hit the US directly unless it's an X or an M. Because most of the time it hits the waters that's around the US. Like 144, 46, 48. Like all these sacred numbers are sacred degrees to the CMEs where they hit. Because hertz and degree is what the Egyptians was trying to say. That's why they built orgons everywhere. It's 369 shit. The hertz and the degrees is what the Egyptians were trying to say, because that's what that's the measurement of time. Feel me? And as these hertz hits these certain degrees on the grid, it hits about 4 different spots before it actually goes into the next dimension in the physical, because we're actually in the cycle that's rising. Remember, it's rising, but there's the science to it, right? So 2023 or 2027 is going to be the type of hertz that's going to actually put you into some futuristic shit to 2027, right? Because by that time, the energy is going to be there. So you're going to start getting more downloads. It's going to start unlocking you if you already have it. Because the 5D hertz was actually getting you to the energy so you can go higher consciously. And as you go higher consciously, that means you're remembering consciously. It's just remembering. And then raising your frequency up mentally and physically was pretty much mastering your body and your crown to where your body regenerates, because you're not losing blood cells from mental thinking, and you're not losing blood cells from the consumption that you're putting in your body, because it's a physical and a mental thing. I'm sorry, if you were old or out of shape, you could literally reverse yourself back with food and being in the right mental space, because they reversed it. So you have to draw the card back down and reverse that shit back. You feel me? It's really the only way. Because, like, if you're in a certain mind state, first of all, mentally you can fuck with yourself physically, and physically you can fuck with your mental state. So that being said, when the energy is hitting, especially if you're not even keeping track of CMEs or like solar weather, because the thing is, it's so above, so below. What happens above affects you below. So before any weather that you see with rain and shit, because first of all, like we said, once they put the chemtrails up and then it absorbs the plasma, it generates weather. So the higher the plasma, the more it generates, right? Because it helps cool the land mass off, so they can do what they do underground and harness energy and shit like that. Because the clouds really helped them build a magnetic field in the first place. because it reflects the heat rises back up and it reflects light and heat, and then it drops the chemicals that turn into sub-zero technology. Feel me? Some of that drop, and then we have to deal with that in our air. And then when the plasma hits, it makes weather. So it's like they're interrupting a cycle. But the thing is, they done fucked up because Cali actually deals with it a lot because it's close to 144. And usually when it hits 144, it goes to 77 and 72, which is like the Indian Seas and shit like that. But now that it's different, it might go to the Atlantic. So the thing, they fucked up because they make highs and lows in the weather. So say right now in February 2023, the low will be considered the West Coast right now, and the high will be the East Coast. Usually, either where on the East Coast, it's a little cooler than the West Coast. That's why people travel from the East Coast to the West Coast, right? Now that they're knowing people on the West Coast is traveling to the East Coast, they're going to start doing that fuck shit on the West Coast, right? Because they were doing it more on the East Coast, and they're going to still keep doing it with the chemtrails and shit, right? Because they're trying to bring in this new variant. But the thing is, the heat and the light from the sun is not going to agree what's in your body, as it's not going to be the same. So it's like frequencies can heal you, but if you're going against the frequency, it can make other reactions in your body. So now you're going to be like, you got this, that, and the third. Feel me? And a lot of that shit popping up too. Feel me? Even from the jabs. Niggas having STDs and everything. All from a fucking shot. And then that's not even an assumption because that's where it all came from. The Class Action Act, what goes back to investigation on drugs and devices. You feel me? That's when they were doing the testing on it. They got caught up for it, but at the same time, that's what they've been doing this whole time. It's part of MK Ultra. If you ever looked at Total Recall or the first Matrix, it always dealt with a parasite that was in a body that their future self or Morpheus or something, or like an angel or something, had to tell them to get out. Even in the Bible, it kind of say that, right? Because it told him to sacrifice the lamb. And if them niggas would sacrifice the lamb, they was eating halal food type shit, you feel me? So it mean the niggas had to sacrifice the lamb, you know? Stop eating meat. That probably wasn't what it is, but I'm gonna use that example for what I'm saying. Because like I don't think none of that shit really cooperates with the energy that's hitting. Like, it's only cold right now because they got a little bit of chemtrails in the sky. And then the shit that they got from the West Coast is about to start moving this way. But if you would look up what's been going on the West Coast, you would see that that they created lows. And so now that it's highs on the East Coast, when highs and lows come together, it creates tornadoes and shit. You feel me? So it's not like God really making these natural disasters. It's your natural, is your fucking government. You feel me? It's your government, my nigga. Like, I wanted to actually go to the Air Force, maybe fly a goddamn plane. But now that I see what they're being used as pawns, you feel me? That goes against me. So it's like I could be up there flying all day, and then the whole time my family getting sick, all cause some rich dude advised us that we have to block the sun for humanity. Got me fucked up. Cause the thing is, yeah, they're trying to cool up the planet, but the same thing that goes on the plane we on is the same thing below. So heat is actually trying to rise up, right, while the heat's coming down. Because then it changes, it brings back the air, it removes all the toxins from the air and the ground and the bodies that's on the plane. That's what it would do in reality. But they're blocking it. So they're like, say if you was to take your shoes off and go on the ground and it's cold as fuck outside, you might not even want to do it. But if you was to do it, the ground, you will actually feel the ground start to heat the fuck up. Not because you're on the bottom of your feet and you sitting. No. It will actually start vibrating and it will start heating up. So if you start seeing anything flutter, not wind blowing, but the fluttering of the vibration in the grass and the trees. The wind comes from the direction it proceeds in. If you're controlling it or something else, but if you see the fluttering, that's a vibration. That means it's heating up. So like you being a Oregon, if everybody around the world was actually, or around the US, whoever, was doing the same thing and the same intent, then you're connecting from landmass to landmass on the same intent, the same energy to go against this evil energy. For me, because really is low energy. Cold is not real. But when you manipulate hydrogen and carbon, you can create sub-zero technology. Because now you make the charge zero. So when you make the charge zero, it has no charge. You feel me? Or fuck with the balance. Because as soon as you fuck with the balance, it fucks with the charge. That's like if you lose red blood cells or gain red blood cells, that's a mutation, period. Then if you have other cells in you gaining and losing, that's a mutation. So niggas is mutating faster because there ain't no magnetic field. You've been in the UV6 and higher since 2021. And the only thing that's really been blocking it is the clouds. Like, you feel how your throat, your nose, and everything gets dried up. That's one of the symptoms that they talk about. You feel me? It's the same thing that goes on with nature and the trees. They get dried up and their leaves begin to fall because it fucks with their frequency. Because they give off plasma too. Feel me? You give off plasma, The trees, everything in nature gives off plasma. It gives off a frequency, so it's giving off plasma. All the elements, even when you tap into four elements, to even tap into them four elements, you have to deal with light and heat, period. And then it has to come from natural light. So if you didn't have no sun that's shining really around you, you could tap into that energy through fire. But you better have water in you and elements of the earth. Because then that will help you breathe your air correctly. So you can tap into A plus B equals C. The A plus B plus C equals M, right? So when you tap into that light in your crown, now you're tapping into your aura, your magnetic field, right? So the more, like say, red blood cells, the more you build, the more frequency you pretty raise up in your body. That's why when you can mentally kill your blood cells by being sad and thinking low of yourself, fuck what anyone else say. At this time, you're doing it to yourself. Feel me? If you love yourself, then you shouldn't do that to yourself. If you wouldn't want to do it to somebody else, even before they fuck you over, you shouldn't want to do it to yourself after the fact. You gotta show the same respect to even get it. So it's like that's part of your manifestation. And then physically, you just gotta be on your shit. That's when Earth becomes more of an element that you need to tap into. Becomes more of a healing, right? Really air to really all the elements. That's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying in a consumption way, because you should eat from what comes out the ground, because it becomes electric. Like your fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Also, it makes electric charge because it helps your blood flow. What helps your air to even flow. And when it makes a flow, it makes a current. When it makes a current, it makes electricity. And when you're having a healthy a current, it's like blue waters compared to some Chesapeake shit or something, or Myrtle Beach or something. It's two different things. So you need an alkaline back, but you gotta alkaline your body because the elements that's within your body deal with alkaline elements. I mean, really it deals with a lot of them, but a lot of the alkaline elements deals with charges. Feel me? For me, all the elements deal with charges. You know, I said that, but I'm saying you need an alkaline in your body, right? Because that's like some blue water shit. Feel me? The more, if your body is like dirty, like a lake or something, it begins to dry up when it gets heat and light reacting in the body. So then that causes paralysis. Feel me? Because your red blood cells are dying. Is really called lysis, which is pathological blood destruction, or pathological red blood destruction. Because another trinity to metaphysics is that's part of it is pathology, because it deals with psychology and biology. Feel me? That's why they study your biology, because the study of life is you, because you connect to nature, cosmos, and below. That's why when I tapped in, I wrote out a whole cycle. Like, I could tell you the hertz. That's what I'm saying. Like, New Year's is really April 1st, or April Fool's. So March 25th is Christmas. So that's around the time 6D, and this is actually real. Now, that's 2023. I wrote this shit in like 2021, going into 2022. And I had to write it down so I won't forget. But I thank you, YouTube, for deleting all my goddamn videos, because even though it never ended up like the real ones, because the real ones I was just in the energy and just flowing with it. Feel me? And the other ones was me kind of low key, not being mad, but still doing it anyway. And they still deleted those lame ass ones too. So I want to thank y'all for doing that, because all you did is help me remember. Because now I don't need a book to talk about shit. Yeah, I wrote it down, but I don't even need that shit. For real, for real. Because now I have enlightened myself, and my spirit guides and Most High, ancestors, whatever you want to say, who I know who, and really, I don't have to discuss that. But yeah, the Sub-Zero technology, Sub-Zero technology is where this code come from. But it's only called Sub-Zero because of carbon emissions being zero, right? So if you can look up what Bill Gates and or the scientists, whatever, whoever does, they made videos live for the masses to see. So I'm not really putting no false claims or anything, right? If anything, this is just for entertainment. I'm not saying this shit is real, all right? I'm just saying, what if? Not even what if. I'm just like making a theory. So like, hop off my dick, cause y'all already did enough, and you guys already know it's over too. So look, this Sub-Zero technology shit, Cali, y'all gonna have to deal. Y'all already know y'all gonna deal with more earthquakes anyway, like you've been doing, but you think it's normal and it's not. Y'all think? Look, they're making it cold as fuck there now. This is where people will be at traveling. You feel me? But it's gonna affect us. So then, while people are traveling, even like driving and shit, it might affect them, or it might just swing right past them. Feel me? Thing is, though, the energy is getting higher. So the more they try and try, it's just gonna break down. Like HARP is breaking down already, but that's why they got niggas on around the clock, all shifts, doing these chemtrails. Cause when they put it in the air cycle, it does what it do. It does what it does. Feel me? All it does is wait for the plasma to hit it. Once the plasma hit it, it generates. Feel me? While it's spreading, it's already generating cold because it's blocking the heat from the light. The light is what brings the heat. and it interacts with your cell. The thing is, the intensity is higher. So, say the more they try to block shit, the worse shit can happen. It's only going to look prophetic because it's common sense. You feel me? It's only going to look prophetic to that extent because it's common sense. Dealing with weather because it's fake. But the thing is, it's going to be stopped because I feel like a land was actually promised that it wouldn't be destroyed. But at the same time, they know that, so they're going to try to destroy it anyway. And even though me and making people aware, is enough people that is aware right now that could stop this shit. And niggas is sitting around waiting. I mean, I'm low-key chilling because I know once you remember, because we still remember, feel me? It'd be a lot of memories though that you have to like channel. And like with clairvoyance, that's really when it comes in. Because you've seen this shit before. Feel me? In about 3 alternates, 4 states, and 2 parallels. Like, say the 2, you spiritual realm back here. Feel me? Or like Black Panther. When they was doing them rituals on them, you went to the other side of the tree of life or Avatar. Feel me? It was like 2 parallels. Feel me? The 2 parallels. But the thing about me saying 2, with these parallels, it deals with 9. So it's just not 2. It's just each one has its own alternates and parallels and shit to itself, just like you. Feel me? And then you connect to all these parallels. That's why, like, it's like wires you can't see that's connected to you. It's just like, say you're on the 33rd, you could connect to another 33rd or anywhere else. Really, you could connect anywhere, but the parallel that you're on helps you connect to those parallels. So, like, say I'm on the 35th, right? I'm on the 35th parallel in the US. I can connect to the 35th parallel in India or wherever else across the seas, you feel me? Just from the US or whatever parallel that's lined up to the parallel that I'm on. I can ground and touch that area. You feel me? That's what I'm saying. It deals with 369, the alphabet system. That's what's going on. That's why these stars alignments and shit, they're doing the alphabetical order with the viruses and shit. That's pretty much named after entities. Or they're gonna tell you another story of where it came from, but it's just common sense. That's how they manipulated us because we taught them the alpha beta system. Do you get what I'm saying? We taught them the alpha beta system. This shit is deeper than just words, my nigga. The alpha beta system is the 369 system. The 369 system is the universal system, the cycle. You feel me? Why, how do you think they've been manipulating the cycle? They got the book of Thoth. Feel me? That's why I was saying. Yo, I touched some rock that I found with a compass playing a game as a kid. But the thing is, I actually dug the rock up. It had like the green stuff that grows like in the sea. But if you go to like certain places that in the forest or trees, you start seeing the algae. I think that's what it is. Yeah, it was algae building on the rock, right? But under the rock, it was like a broken piece, feel me? But it was big, but it had certain writings, right? And I'm trying to read it because it looked like English. And this is when I'm so mad because I'm old enough to actually be able to read it. I feel like this shit low key got me tearing up because me and my god brother and god sister, we found that shit. And everybody was looking at us crazy like little kids. Feel me? We found that. It was looking at us like little kids. It was like, look, we found treasure. We found treasure. We could take this to a museum or something. We might get a lot of money. Because that's what we was just thinking. Feel me? But if I was able to take that rock home, I promise you, I'll most likely have that rock to this day. Because now I realize on that rock, it was Hebrew. It was pretty much Phoenician writing, or which was a tablet or something, but somehow it was still printed so well on that rock, right? And it looked like I can read it, but once I was try to read it like a kid, like say a kid reading English, it was weird. It was like I could read it, but then it would change up. So it was like I would have to turn the rock to keep reading, and it was like every time I try to read it, it would change. But it was like I knew what it was or some shit without knowing what it was. I was being the leader with the compass and shit. Feel me? Because at that time I found out my first name meant explorer, but really it means meadow. Deals with uh stone and crystal in the meadows, some shit, right? Some shit. So like I found that rock, right? Maryland. It was like Maryland towards VA, I think, in Saint not St. George or some shit out there. It was where a lot of Amish people and stuff was, I think, or King George or something like that. King George, Virginia or something. I found a rock out there, feel me? And I was young as hell. Family actually got land out there that can't even be touched. And I hope they never fuck with it, because I need to go there. And but the thing I'm saying though, the sub-zero technology, bro, is this planet is supposed to deal with heat, and the planet knows it. So it sends out signals. You feel me? So say above send a signal, right? So when above send a signal, below is supposed to send a signal back. When it don't send the signals back, it becomes stronger to make sure if it feels it. So these fuck niggas is trying to block this shit. The whole time they're reflecting light, that shit gonna come right back down stronger. You feel me? Period. And then they heating up the ground, really thinking they're cooling off the ground in Cali, but under that layer of coldness is straight heat, and that's building up pressure. So as that's building up pressure, that's actually just gonna make earthquakes, and it might make the shit split open. You feel me? Like ground splitting open just because they're interrupting it way too much. Other than that, it would just rise up. Feel me? The heat would just rise into the air, and then you really become normalized to it. The whole time, this cold shit kind of is really bad, but if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you have nothing to worry about. And really, it gives people time who didn't use their time and energy to do so, to do so. Because when the heat actually hits, you gotta be ready. Because it ain't gonna be no normal heat. Like, if your blood not clean, or at least alkaline enough, it's gonna feel like scorching flames. Feel me? Just like you putting a lighter to your hand, wait until it burns. Like, cause in an alkaline body, just like a body of water, it actually becomes cool with the heat. It doesn't become completely hot. It's just like you when you go in the water, it feels good as fuck, right? That's how the sun will feel against you when you alkaline your body before this summer. Really, it's kind of almost late, cause this shit about to get popping in March for shit show. It already is. And this being like November or August at the same time, we're going into Virgo, Sagittarius, and I think Aquarius at the same time. But I'm only saying that dealing with the month, not dealing with the energy. Cause cause it's different alternates, so right. That's why you have the Pisces sign that look like two fishes, but it's really a 6-9, like Cancer. You feel me? So that's when the months actually ties to 369, because it ties to the cycle, because there's no number greater than 9, and these elites know that, and that's how they even communicate, period. So it's like they even showed that on the alpha beta system, on the Greek and the Hebrew chart and the Latin chart. There's scales to it, right? Because it scales and hertz, right? And the scales of hertz is rising. So I could tell y'all right now what the hertz gonna be. Let me see. I feel like it got ripped out, but if I have to make a new scale real quick, then I will. I could tell you the degrees real quick though. Yeah, we already in damn near 21. Where is it? It's a whole cycle thing, you feel me? It's a whole cycle thing. 369 is not even the name of it. It's just a symbolism of it. Feel me? To help you understand trinities, working with other trinities. When you interrupt the trinity, like say for your cells, when you interrupt your carbon being a tetravalent, feel me? Other cells or T cells interacts with that cell and can corrupt it, right? Just like the chemicals, and to make drugs, you make it with chemicals because it's alchemy, even in all states of matter, right? Solid, liquid, gas, is manipulation of chemicals, right? But when it interacts with the tetra, your A and B, it can destroy that trinity just like that and create something else. That's when your cancer and all that extra shit comes from. Because when it interrupts it, then it kills your red blood cells. And the only way it does that is when your sodium channels are blocked, meaning your blood's not flowing. When your sodium channels are blocked, blood not flowing, your metabolism getting slower. And when your metabolism gets slower, your immune system get weaker. So then that makes you more easier to get sick to shit. I mean, like me, I don't get sick, but I know why I got sick. So I had to get right. Feel me? That's what I'm saying. Like me, I done already did it. So it's like, but it's easy to fall. Not saying it was easy for me to fall, because I did it for a straight year. Damn near just 80% fruit. Feel me? While this shit was happening. Before anyone even started talking on this shit. That's when I was knowing this shit was really going on. Feel me? Because it resonated. So the thing is, I think this crap got ripped out of my book. Man, I could rewrite it. Anyways. But we're going to do a math equation. Alright. So 360 times 6 is the hertz. 60 begins at, right? Hold on. Yeah. 360 times 6 is going to be the hertz 60 starts at. So when you hear that hertz frequency coming off the sun, then you know 60 is started, which I already think I already heard, right? But the thing is, it takes 4 weeks for that energy to settle, because it's 4 different cycles for the 4 elements and the 4 states. That's where you get the 8. Feel me? But the 4 also deals with the three. And that's where Nostradamus got his teaching of the four. Because the 12 is actually three, right? The rebirth and the Christ, right? Virgo, birthing Christ, right? Around Christmas, right? But this Christmas that you're this Christ energy, right? That they're expecting, they're not going to tell you is most likely March 25th. Because when 6D hits 7, 8, and 9 opens, and 3, 2, 1 below opens. That's why you're seeing all these sinkholes open. I've been saying this shit over and over again. Feel me? When 6D hits, like I know everybody talking about 5D. I'm on this 6D shit. Because I realized when I went up, it was 5D. Then I went to 7, 8, 9. You feel me? And it was preparing me for 6, right? 6 and right at 9, right? This is the 6, right? The mark. You add the 6 to the 66, you get 72. 72, 7 plus 2 equals 9. That deals with the square of the sun. The magic square of the sun. Feel me? Because the trinities. You can't even get the 6 and the 9 without the 3. Feel me? Free my man's Rashad. Because look, that little piece of hearing that helped me remember what I was dreaming at that time. Feel me? Only other nigga that was catching. This is the thing. As I was listening to shit, between 3 people, I started awakening. As I'm listening to them, I'm talking about other shit that they're not even talking about to myself, right? And then as I'm doing that, this shit becomes an all day thing. You feel me? Then I'm just like, oh shit. So then when I'm starting to look at it, it's like I already understand it. And I'm looking at myself like, how the fuck do I know this? Because I wasn't on this shit beforehand. So then it'll be like, that's when I start realizing fruit is key. And then when I was learning about chakras, I realized the fruit that you eat and the vegetables is made from your image, right? It connects to a certain part of your body because that color was even created from a certain frequency, period, right? That's why it emits that color. And when it comes to colors and emittance, that comes from light and heat. You feel me? And me, I feel like my DNA is subtropical. Feel me? Or tropical. So like the tropical fruits I feel like are the key ones because they hold a sour and sweet. But the thing about that, it actually has natural vinegars, and natural vinegars actually clean out shit. So it's like You can't go wrong with that. And it's not really acidic. It's the acid you need, but it can become acidic. Look, it can become acidic if you're not drinking water, right? Even though you get your waters from your fruit, but it's still okay to drink water because water actually helps your pineal, right? And your pineal actually connects to your root, right? Well, all these shits connect. So the fruits and shit actually gives it the the charge it needs, that is nutrients, right? It alkalines those certain organs. You feel me? And the water helps it balance it. Feel me? It's just like having organs in a body of water. Feel me? But the fruits drink it liquefied. That's all you drink, then it will remove the toxins that's in your body naturally before you, even if you didn't have any herbs and shit like that to fuck with. Just grab your favorite fruits and eat a shitload of it. Like, it really don't cost that much. Because when you spread it out, I don't really like juicing as much as like blending it up, because then you lose the fibers and to a certain extent. And that's really what helps you get rid of it. Because when your sodium channels get blocked too, that brings constipation. Feel me? So boom. The key is to get rid of that shit. Once you get rid of that shit, you don't even have to shit no more. Feel me? And then your shit don't even stink no more. It just smell like fruit or whatever other substance that you're putting in your body. That's like, no offense to Indians, but a lot of Indian people that don't wear deodorant, underarms will begin to smell like Cajun seasoning. But that's because they use a lot of that type of seasoning, right? So it actually will emit the smell out of your underarm. So if you were to clean your body up, your underarms really wouldn't even stink. But yeah, I've been rambling the whole time. I was supposed to show how these Zetas made a deal. These Zetas made a deal. Well, these humans made a deal with a Gray, who I still look at as a Yakub or like a Esau type nigga. Feel me? Because I feel like they manipulated him, right? I ain't never heard this from nobody, like, in on this physical realm. So I'm starting to feel like I saw this somewhere else. So like, anyways, cause I feel like he got manipulated out of his science, right? A wife was taken, just like the whole Mr. Freeze story. You feel me? A wife was taken and used to breed and used to study. It might have also been a sister. But no, though. I'm just talking like the eugenics got used on him. And for him to control it, reason why he got put on Nern, right? The only way for him to control it here is to keep it cold, right? Because of his genetics got reversed, so he couldn't ascend. Like, because ascending means rising, like when it comes to music notes, but music is hertz and frequencies, right? So as this hertz from the sun is rising up, this nigga wants to manipulate that to freeze it. Because if he can freeze it, he can continue to manipulate the energy. All because he's mad, right? I feel like the Greys or the reptilians manipulated him and turned him into one of them, right? You feel me? But that's like when you making a deal with the devil, right? These niggas made a deal with Mr. Freeze, right? And Mr. Freeze is also like a Grey to me, right? And demons always, how they make demons look, right? They always look like Greys or lichens. And lichens actually is in the word Republican. The hub over lichens. Feel me? Like, like a spiritual pub over certain shape-shifting beings. That's what Republicans stand for. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, niggas need to break down these English words and stop just going along with what they say. Because just as because it got one definition, that shit got many definitions. And chemistry, well, science, pathology, all science, feel me? It's gonna be chemistry, biology, and pathology, which makes biochemistry, which makes bioweapons. You feel me? They go against you. Like, so that's my little theory for manipulation. Because look, if you were a god or anyone of that intelligence, right? Because Mr. Freeze is still intelligent. He was a scientist, right? But he was manipulated. Even they took his wife. Kind of how like some King David and Queen Charlotte, and how they went through Greensboro and then went through the Bermuda Current all the way to Europe, and that's when that bullshit started happening. I wonder where that girl that was captured in Russia from. Anyways, it's kind of like some shit like that. And that's my story too with that shit too. But let's just look at how Mr. Freeze. Hey, shout out to whoever made this video. But let's finally see what Mr. Freeze was talking about. Let's get it. That's not even it.
In just 36 weeks, Universal Technical Institute can train you for a career in welding. If you like...
This is it. Shout out to Green Chilies. Don't get mad at me, right? This is for entertainment. Y'all subscribe, bro.
I think you'll find that suit is a perfect duplicate of your original. Automatic temperature control, increased cybernetic strength, even the cold gun works.
Alright, so this is the deal and the manipulation. And this is also my theory of how they're trying to freeze the planet, manipulating, seeing plasma energy that's coming from the sun. Reason is February 2023, and the West Coast is colder than the East Coast right now. Let's continue. You see, Mr. Freeze. Look, Mr. Freeze is a Zeller Gray. You see him? Bruh, fresh from there. You feel me? Bruh, got the whole body suit. But peep game to all the different versions of Mr. Freeze. But if you want to really get to know Mr. Freeze for what he was, you have to go to the old cartoons like this one. Feel me? Really, of any superhero, right? Because now with superhero shit, they're trying to show you things that are to come, right? Even like Spider-Man with the 3 alternates. That was a representation of present, past, future. Higher self, lower self, and the balance self. Feel me? When both came together to help the balance self, they made a whole light. A plus B equals C. Or A plus B plus C equals M. They made a whole... They harnessed the energy together and defeated whoever they were trying to defeat, tapping into his power, his X. You feel me? That's what that Spider-Man movie represented. But look, we're on Mr. Freeze and his evil plan to freeze the world, just like we're not gonna say Bill Gates is trying to freeze the world, but if he's making carbon emissions to 0, then that makes Sub-Zero technology. So therefore, it is what it is. I don't have to say that. So I don't want certain people trying to delete my video again just because I said what's obvious. Stupid hoes.
I think you'll find that suit is a perfect duplicate of your original.
Called you stupid, YouTube. But at the same time, I thank you.
Automatic temperature control, increased cybernetic strength, even the cold gun works.
Yes, logically, I should do the same to you.
Just hear me out, please. As I said, I've studied you and your work. Do you realize that in your frozen state, you'll age much slower than an ordinary human? You're practically immortal, my friend.
Look, and what is that? Fucking with genes? What are you fucking with? You're fucking with DNA. And where you're fucking with DNA, what are you messing with? Energy, right? Even with fake energy or real energy, right? Because you being outside is like you being in a lab already. And they had somebody to watch what the fuck really happens. that shit that you're not paying attention. Like, say if they have uh devices and radars and stuff that can see certain frequencies, but you can't. But they're watching you, right, as you're moving around, right? And they're peeping the frequencies that you're making with your carbon footprints as you're walking around. Just like a carbon footprint, how they say be on the moon or some shit. Nigga, you do that shit on the ground. Period. Right? It's just like the military shit. It picks up heat. So like this is all breaking down.
Yes, eternal life trapped in this wretched shell. What a miserable joke.
Oh, miserable to you, but a godsend to me. Look at me, Mr. Freeze. I'm an old man. I've created wonders in my lifetime, but there is still so much to do.
Peep what he said. Peep what he said right here. See, he doesn't like who he is, right? He doesn't like who he is anymore. So he feels low. He's angry. He doesn't have his love of his life no more neither. So the shit that he has, he's already normalized with through his science and the things that he knows. Mr. Freeze is like, that's like when a little girl or as a little brother or something and like is too old and got them want to do older girl shit. And leave the little brother doing his little kid shit still. Feel me? That's how that is. Mr. Freeze is looking at this little nigga like, oh, you sound pathetic. Like, this is nothing new. Like, why you might think about this? Or like, certain people with money really don't care. Hey, if they're looking at shit like, bitch, I've been rich all my life. Like, this is normal. Like, why are you acting like this? So they don't really be trying to find a connection with a fake ass person. They're only gonna find a connection with a real ass nigga. That's why y'all thoughts are getting played. Feel me? Cause you're not attracting what the fuck you want because you're already moving wrong. So look, back on this.
You, but a godsend to me. Look at me, Mr. Freeze. I'm an old...
This wretched shell. What a miserable...
You see how he felt about his life?
that in your frozen state you'll age much slower than an ordinary human. You're practically immortal, my friend.
Because what? It's just like when you throw meat inside a freezer. It lasts longer past the expiration date. Because you're holding in the shit that's even keeping it past that. But it's already expired. It's fucking dead, to be honest. So, like,
Yes, eternal life trapped in this wretched shell. What a miserable joke.
Miserable to you, but a godsend to me. Look at me, Mr. Freeze. I'm an old man. I've created wonders in my lifetime, but there is still so much to do. I want to change as you have, to become, like you, a being of blessed eternal cold.
You're insane.
Only you have the know-how.
He was saying he wants control, not over code, but over the God particle. The God particle deals with the beast, the carbonated being, the 666. Feel me? But the carbon deals with the hydrogen. Feel me? And with through light and heat as it rises, really, the shit already up. Really, as the magnetic field breaks down, the levels rises back to normal. This is what it's saying. Niggas, we're going back to normal before the lies. Feel me? Niggas is going back to normal before the lies. So it's gonna be shit that you never thought that you could do that you're gonna end up doing. Your creativity might get better now than ever. Or you might go back into your old creativity once you focus your energy on something other than the attachments they want you attached to. Get back attached to self and nature. Because even with this nigga trying to freeze shit, it ties to this, to your frequency. Feel me? Because the only way for him, this little cartoon character right here, feel me? He look like he got a silicone mask on too. But the only way for him to even do what he's proposing, because that deals with eugenics, right? The only way for him to do with whoever else, they're gonna have to study the biology, the chemistry, and the pathology of what the God gene connects to. And that's carbon, which connects to everything else, right? So when he said the power of code, how do you even generate code? From plasma, manipulating energy, right? So he wanted power of the realm, if that makes sense. I'm trying to break down what he really saying. He want power of the realm. This is when it ties back to what everyone's saying. Niggas made deals with these different species and stuff. This is an example of how they did so. And replay what he said. He said, I want power of the code, pretty much be